What's up, all my beautiful Irish people? Today we have an amazing video from Gripped Media, back once again with County Gains news. Today we have Stephen Donnelly is pressed on online censorship. Okay, so this one's going to be talking about obviously the censorship on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, a lot of these major news platforms that people get their news on. It's really heavily censored, not telling different sides of the story. For those who don't know, of course, I make a lot of political videos on YouTube and they don't get censored, but they do get kind of pushed down a lot in the algorithm. You know, unfortunately, guys, the news media doesn't do as well as my music reactions, nowhere near as well. But hopefully in the near future, they will come up to standard as well. This one is basically Ben Scallon is asking Health Minister Stephen Donnelly on his government use of child safety to justify regulating free speech in the EU Digital Services Act. So can't wait for this one. Drop a comment, smash that subscribe button as well. We're about to hit 100,000 subscribers. Loads more political videos coming as well if you like them. And let's go, guys. For those who don't know, actually, before we get into this, without X, previously known as Twitter, and Elon Musk, there would be literally zero freedom of speech on the internet, guys. And Rumble. Okay, Rumble is like an alternative to YouTube. Without those two platforms, there would be like zero freedom of speech on the internet. So this one's going to be great. Let's go.
They are seeing children with mental and physical injuries as a direct result of these online platforms. Under the EU's Digital Services Act, online platforms are already being investigated.
Minister, obviously nobody is going to disagree that children being exposed to harmful content online is a problem, but you and I both know that that's only part of regulations that are contained within the Digital Services Act. The DSA also seeks to regulate alleged misinformation and hate speech, which is significantly more controversial with the general public on free speech grounds. So isn't it quite cheap and cynical to put forward something that we all agree with, namely the protection of children, and use that as a Trojan horse to regulate speech on social media, which almost nobody agrees with?
Damn, that's an amazing question. Using the EU censorship laws as a Trojan horse, using the child safety as a Trojan horse to kind of censor all media so the government is never questioned about anything, okay? The only platform that's really truly free is X. If you guys go on my Twitter profile, I just spout crazy stuff all day long because you're allowed to do it there. Any other platform, you're not allowed to do anything there. You know, it's really, even on this YouTube channel, guys, I can say what I want to say, but it's not, you know, as free as you would hope it to be. You know, it's gotten a lot more free, but it's definitely not up to standard, you know.
Thanks, Ben. With the group I'm putting together and the awareness campaigns that I'm funding and the additional work that I'm funding for Cyber Safe Kids is very clearly and explicitly around keeping children safe online. And I think, Ben, from a freedom of speech perspective, I think, as Alex and I said earlier on, the objective here is to create a safe online environment. I think a safe online environment is a stronger place for free speech. You know, so I firmly believe in free speech. We live in an open democracy. I think barely, guys. Without Twitter and X, I'll tell you guys right now, there would be no freedom of speech on the internet. Like YouTube, you can't say what you want, you'll get cancelled. Facebook, you can't say what you want, you'll get cancelled. You know, on Instagram, if you say whatever you want, you'll also get cancelled and banned off their network or demonetized or whatever. So it definitely isn't free right now, guys. Definitely the platforms aren't free, and they're trying to restrict them even more. Is just outrageous, guys. Like, it's just unbelievable, man, you know. I think what would be harmful to free speech, what would curtail free speech, is having environments where children are not safe. Right, so I certainly think that
I totally concede the child point is absolutely, you know, child protection is, of course, as I say, I'm a parent, you know, I understand, but again, we're talking about the DSA.
But guys, you know, regulation of the internet is the parent's job. You know, if you're a parent and you have kids, guys, you should be regulating their internet usage anyways. Like they shouldn't be allowed to go on crazy websites or whatever, guys. They should just be allowed to maybe use like certain ones like YouTube or like whatever, Instagram, maybe something like that. But, you know, have those restrictions on like what content they can see. Like there's all these filters you guys can use. So I don't know what they're. That's like a bit of a. I think it's a bit of a nonsense argument trying to curtail the internet for kids. Like, as a parent, you should be curtailing all the internet stuff already, guys. Like, Google has filters. Like, there's loads of filters to stop people watching harmful content, right? That's literally already on the internet, guys. But that being said, the internet is the Wild West, so, you know.
And should the state have a role in regulating what information is true and false, or is somebody...
They already do, guys. RT, they just, the government mouthpiece, they just basically tell us what, they want to hear more perpetrated. So
is speech hateful or not? That's a totally different issue to what we're talking about. So do you not understand why some people would say these regulations, while the child protection issue, totally agree on that, no problem there, that there's a more insidious undertone to it when it comes to civil liberties?
There is, guys, and especially in Ireland, I've noticed this, like, they don't like people talking about the news in Ireland. They don't like people talking about news topics in Ireland. Whenever I post about any stabbings or anything like that, like the one in Galway, at the military barracks, at the army barracks a few weeks ago, that video had like 3,000 views. A lot of views, guys. 3,000 to 5,000 views. Some videos I got 40,000 views. Like, these are massive views, guys, for YouTube for just talking about things. Whereas, our teens, if you never hear them talking about any of those topics, and it seems like that if you talk on the internet about things or whatever, people judge you. They just really don't like that. The government don't like it. The police don't like it. The guards. It's very weird. It's very toxic. It's not very free and open. There's no citizen journalists, and if they are, they're called racist and bigots and all this type of thing, when really citizens should be open and free to be able to report the news ourselves, guys. Like, I'm a journalist, quote unquote. I should be able to report the news. Okay, I'm educating people on the certain things that are happening in Ireland, but when people do that in Ireland, guys, people like really like chastise you. They like put you down. They say, no, this shouldn't be allowed. But it should be allowed, guys. Like, it's a free and open market to be able to talk about the news and what's taking place in the country.
I don't think there is. I think they're two quite different discussions, and I think they're two very important discussions. So I think we're in agreement on the child safety aspects, and I think there is a very important and live and ongoing discussion to be had around freedom of speech and a balance in terms of protecting people online. So if somebody posts something clearly false and very damaging about you and uses AI content to make it look very real, you speaking words that you've never spoken, saying things that you've never said.
This is like a red herring, guys. If someone did that on my YouTube channel, it's like I would just start laughing at it. I would just do a react to it because obviously that's not true. And I'm not in the industry of trying to make people believe something, guys. If people choose to believe that I said something crazy on AI generated content, that's up to them, guys. I mean, do what you want with my content, guys. I mean, I really don't care. I mean, it's just freedom for all, guys. Like, I want ultimate freedom, crazy stuff,
Would that person argue, well, it's my free speech?
We already have defamation laws. I mean, that's defamation, is it not? I mean, we've had that forever. That's always been a part of...
we have a defamation, but I think going back to something we were talking about earlier on, there seems to be a Wild West with the online...
Hey, that's what I just said. I always say that. I think people are copying my term now. The internet is the Wild West, guys. It actually is, though. Like, literally, the internet is just the Wild West, guys. It's unbelievable how crazy it is,
To something we were talking about earlier on, there seems to be a Wild West with the online platforms. So the journalists, yourself and the journalists in this room, there are very clear protections in place that you're all aware of, but that doesn't apply. I mean, if any of you published things that we could all find in 10 seconds on Twitter or whatever, you'd be shut down, right? And so I of course we need free speech. And look, Ireland does well. We have a good track record on free speech. It's not perfect anywhere.
What? That's horrendous. They just locked up Enoch Burke for the third time, guys, okay? Because he wouldn't call someone in his class, member of the T community or whatever, member of that community, who wants to be a man to a woman. They just locked him up for the third time, guys. He was in jail for 400 days, okay? And they only said that we locked him up because he refused to call somebody by their pronouns. That's like the ultimate. Now, I know obviously that's a kind of specific case. There's other things in that case that I'm not 100% sure on. But for the most part, guys, they just locked him up because he refused to call someone by their pronouns, and the lecturers told him that you're going to get fired if you don't address these kids how they want to be addressed, right? And I'm all for freedom, guys. If they want to be whatever they want to be, I have no problem against that. Of course, you can be what you want to be, guys. If you want to be a man or woman, it doesn't really matter to me. But firing somebody because they won't say something is unacceptable. And also, guys, they're not talking about YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. These platforms are already censored heavily. You notice how he said Twitter there. Okay, Twitter is not censored heavily. It's one of the only platforms, is the only platform that you can have a full freedom of speech on, guys. Fully freedom of speech on Twitter. And it's an amazing platform. Everyone should go on Twitter and really open up your eyes to the content, what's going on there, And see how he mentions Twitter. He's not talking about YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. He's talking about Twitter, guys. They want to just censor Twitter. Ultimately, that's what they want to do. They want to shut down Elon Musk, which, good luck with that. He has all the money in the world.
Or whatever, you'd be shut down, right? And so I of course we need free speech. And look, Ireland does well. We have a good track record on free speech. It's not perfect anywhere, but we do have to make sure that people are safe online. This morning is about young people being safe online, but I think if people were
the whole young people being safe online, that's a red herring, guys. That's a straw man argument. You know what I mean? Sorry, a straw man. It's not. We're not talking about people being safe on the internet. So they're talking about just curtailing free speech, because that's what it is, man.
Posting false things and really damaging things about you on online platforms.
Go ahead and say it, guys. Say whatever you want. Who cares, man? More publicity for me. That's all I'll say. They're also saying we have a good track record of freedom of speech. Well, we get most of our laws from the EU now, and people have gone to jail in EU countries, England as well, the UK. They're locking people up for making jokes, for just saying things on Twitter. Just words, guys. They're going to jail for saying words. I mean, that's real soft society,
I think you would have a reasonable right to say, hang on a second, can this just go unfettered?
As I say, I think I could under defamation law. I might just ask real quickly, what is your definition of free speech, Minister, if you don't mind me asking? How would you define that?
That's a much longer conversation, Ben. One I'm happy to have with you, but probably this isn't the forum for that.
Again, dodging questions. What's my definition of free speech, guys? My definition of free speech would be freedom and liberty for all. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it would be somewhere along those lines, guys, where you're basically allowed to say whatever you want. The thing about what people don't understand is whatever you say, guys, it will be challenged, okay? If you say something on the internet and then somebody in real life sees you and you've said something about them, you're going to face backlash for that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just say whatever willy-nilly, or at least I'm trying to be fair on my channel. If people get upset about that, I mean, they can get upset about it. But, you have to be somewhat diplomatic about it. Not too diplomatic, but freedom of speech is ultimate freedom of speech, able to criticize people. Something the government and RT don't really do for the government. That's why a lot of these news platforms are popping up now, Gripped. A lot of these independent news platforms, because my news platform, because I'm able to critique the government in my own way. But people don't like that, guys, and they say, oh, you're spreading misinformation, when in reality, guys, it's just questioning things, just asking questions, not even being too, strict on anything, just asking questions, guys. That's what people get upset about nowadays. So the freedom of speech, in my opinion, would be just ultimate freedom of speech. It would be something along the lines of the USA's First Amendment, guys, where you have kind of full freedom and you're able to say whatever you guys want, at least under some sort of artistic, platform, at least in an artistic way, guys, and of course, there's some things that you don't want free, like crazy shit on the internet. Some things, of course, we all know about that, but for the most part, guys, speaking words, I mean, you can say anything, guys, in my personal opinion. Of course, you might face backlash for that. You might get sued, you might face flipping, crazy stuff in real life or whatever. But, hey, man, give people the freedom to do it. I love you guys all. Stay free. I love you, Ireland. Smash that subscribe button. About to hit that 100K. And I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Peace.